Once upon a time in ancient Egypt, there was a queen named Cleopatra, who was a fascinating and mysterious woman. People remember her for being smart and beautiful, but there was more to her than meets the eye. In fact, some say she was one of the first ever master manipulators in history. Cleopatra was not an Egyptian. You might be surprised to learn that Cleopatra wasn't your typical Egyptian ruler. Nope, she came from a family called the Ptolemies, who had some serious connections. They were descendants of Ptolemy I, one of Alexander the Great's right-hand men. These guys established a whole dynasty of Greek-speaking rulers that took charge of Egypt for quite a while. But Cleopatra, she was something else. Even though Cleopatra had some Greek blood running through her veins, she had this unshakable love affair with Egyptian culture. She was all about embracing her roots and tracing her family tree back to good old Macedonian Greece and Ptolemy I. Sure, she was born in Egypt, but that didn't stop her from proudly celebrating her Macedonian Greek heritage. Now, what made Cleopatra stand out from the crowd was her genuine passion for getting down and dirty with Egyptian society. She wasn't just some ruler who sat on a throne and called the shots. No, she wanted to understand and appreciate every nook and cranny of Egyptian customs and traditions. She was like a cultural sponge, soaking up all the ancient goodness. But here's where Cleopatra really knocked it out of the park. Unlike her family members who came before her, she decided to take matters into her own hands and learn the Egyptian language. She wanted to speak the language of her people, to bridge the gap between her Greek heritage and the Egyptians she ruled over. By immersing herself in the Egyptian language and culture, Cleopatra showed her subjects that she was the real deal. She respected their heritage and wanted to connect with them on a deep level. It was her way of saying, hey, we might have different backgrounds, but we're all in this together. Cleopatra's commitment to understanding Egyptian customs and speaking their language wasn't just for show. She genuinely wanted to strengthen her rule and create a bond with her people. It was her way of bringing her Greek lineage and the rich Egyptian identity together in one harmonious kingdom. Cleopatra's unmatched intellect. When it comes to Cleopatra, it's easy to get caught up in the tales of her captivating beauty. But her looks were not her biggest asset. Ancient Roman propaganda painted Cleopatra as this seductive temptress who used her sex appeal as a political weapon. But she had so much more going on for her than just her physical appearance. Cleopatra's intellect was truly remarkable and often overshadowed her beauty. She was no ordinary ruler, relying solely on her looks. Egyptian sources later described Cleopatra as a ruler who not only valued education, but also elevated the ranks of scholars and genuinely enjoyed their company. She surrounded herself with intellectuals and engaged in discussions that expanded her understanding of the world. Beauty fades, but the power of a sharp mind endures. Interestingly, there is evidence suggesting that Cleopatra's physical appearance wasn't as conventionally attractive as once believed. Ancient coins depicting her show masculine features and a prominently hooked nose. Some historians propose that she intentionally portrayed herself this way as a display of strength. She knew that true beauty lies in confidence and character, not just in physical features. The ancient writer Plutarch went even further to emphasize that Cleopatra's allure stemmed not only from her appearance, but also from her mellifluous speaking voice and irresistible charm. She had a way with words, effortlessly captivating those around her. It wasn't just about what she said, but how she said it. Cleopatra knew how to control conversations and manipulate situations to her advantage. Her wit and intelligence were her true weapons, far more powerful than any physical beauty. The goddess Isis reincarnated. Cleopatra, the queen with serious confidence, had a game plan to rule like a boss. She saw herself as the rebirth of the mighty goddess Isis, and she knew that looking the part was key. Cleopatra put in the work to embody the divine beauty and grace associated with Isis. She was all about that goddess glow. Cleopatra didn't just talk the talk, she demanded to be treated like a true deity. She wanted people to worship her and even required her subjects to kiss the ground she strutted on. What's even more mind-blowing is that Cleopatra pulled off this audacious act despite not being an Egyptian herself. Cleopatra was a genius when it came to understanding the power of myth and religion. By aligning herself with the beloved goddess Isis, she gained more than just followers. She tapped into the spiritual beliefs deeply rooted in the hearts of the Egyptian people. Cleopatra became a force to be reckoned with, not just as a ruler, but as a central figure in the religious and cultural fabric of Egypt. Cleopatra's beauty secrets, from perfume power to donkey milk baths. She was known not only for her political prowess, but also for her distinctive beauty rituals. She knew that scents had the magical ability to control minds, so she set up her very own perfume factory. Cleopatra was like a master perfumer, concocting fragrances that could sway people to her will. Despite her preference for older men, she was still concerned about keeping her own youthful glow intact. Of course, she couldn't pop into a clinic for Botox or a quick nip and tuck like we can today. But being the queen had its perks. Cleopatra had access to beauty treatments that were straight out of a fairy tale. One of Cleopatra's favorite beauty rituals involved taking a bath filled with the milk of a whopping 700 lactating donkeys. This may sound a little bizarre to us now, but back in ancient times, people believed that donkey milk had some sort of magic touch. They thought it could turn back the clock and make you look younger. Cleopatra's incestuous origins. Cleopatra was born into a dynasty that had a long-standing tradition of engaging in marriages between close relatives. The Ptolemaic dynasty, to which Cleopatra belonged, believed in upholding the purity of their bloodline through these intra-family unions. Consequently, Cleopatra's family tree was intricately intertwined with complex and intricate connections. Throughout the lineage of the Ptolemies, marriages between cousins and even siblings were prevalent. This practice served multiple purposes, including the preservation of the royal lineage's legitimacy and the consolidation of power within the dynasty. Cleopatra's parents were thought to be siblings, further emphasizing the prevalence of such incestuous unions within her family. When Cleopatra assumed the throne, she followed the established tradition by marrying her two adolescent brothers, Ptolemy XIII and Ptolemy XIV. These marriages were not solely motivated by romantic or emotional factors, but rather by political and dynastic considerations of the era. Her brothers served as ceremonial spouses and co-regents during different periods of her reign. Cleopatra eliminated her siblings. Cleopatra's rise to power was not without its dark and treacherous undertones. In a dynasty plagued by power struggles and murderous plots, Cleopatra took her place at the center stage by eliminating her siblings, solidifying her position as the sole ruler of Egypt. The pursuit of power overshadowed familial bonds as Cleopatra strategically orchestrated the deaths of 3 of her siblings. At just 14 years old, Cleopatra's mother's untimely demise thrust her into a position of responsibility. Appointed regent and deputy ruler by her father, Ptolemy XII, she gained first-hand experience in governance. However, her father's will dictated that she marry her younger brother and rule jointly with them. Unwilling to share power, Cleopatra took matters into her own hands, removing her brother's name from official documents and minting coins with her face alone. This audacious move defied the traditional expectations of female submission in ancient Egypt. When Cleopatra aligned herself with the Syrians in a conflict against the Roman army, she incurred the wrath of the mighty Roman Empire. Rome supported her discontented teenage brother, who ultimately overthrew Cleopatra. Forced to flee with her sister Arsinoe IV, Cleopatra found herself caught in a delicate alliance. However, their relationship remained strained, and Cleopatra grew suspicious of Arsinoe's intentions. The newly installed king, Ptolemy XIII, proved to be an inexperienced ruler, and his reckless decisions led to disastrous consequences. His execution of Pompey, a revered figure, outraged Julius Caesar and stained Roman pride. Seizing the opportunity, Caesar intervened and clashed with the combined forces of Cleopatra and her brother. Trapped in the chaos, Ptolemy XIII met his demise, drowning in the Nile. Bound by tradition once again, Cleopatra was coerced into a marriage of convenience, this time with her youngest brother, Ptolemy XIV. However, their union was hollow, as Cleopatra had already begun an affair with Julius Caesar. When Cleopatra bore Caesar a son, her ambition reached new heights. Without hesitation, she orchestrated the murder of Ptolemy XIV, clearing the path for her son to become co-regent. Cleopatra and Mark Antony's drinking club. When it came to parties and excess, Cleopatra and Mark Antony knew how to take it to another level. Their passionate love affairs sparked a bond that extended beyond politics and strategy. In 41 BC, Cleopatra, the captivating Queen of Egypt, and Mark Antony, the powerful Roman general, formed their own exclusive drinking club. This club, known as the Intimate Livers, became the epicenter of their extravagant lifestyle. It all began when Antony laid eyes on Cleopatra, perceiving her as the goddess Aphrodite incarnate. Captivated by her beauty and charisma, he abandoned his military plans and chose to spend the winter in Alexandria by her side. The allure of their love affair overshadowed the ongoing civil war in Rome, leading them to create a world of their own, free from the burdens of political strife. Within the boundaries of their drinking club, Cleopatra and Antony revealed unparalleled extravagance. Their parties surpassed any wild gatherings witnessed in the most raucous American frat houses. Ancient tales recount the extraordinary lengths they went to indulge their desires. In a peculiar incident, Cleopatra purportedly instructed her servants to bring her vinegar, into which she dissolved her precious jewelry. As the jewelry vanished into the acidic liquid, Cleopatra, true to her word, drank the vinegar, winning a bet against Antony. The dissolved treasures were said to be worth an astounding sum, equivalent to over $10 million in today's value. The 1963 movie on Cleopatra. Cleopatra, the 1963 film starring Elizabeth Taylor as the legendary Egyptian queen, has left an enduring impact on the world of cinema. The movie encountered numerous challenges throughout its production, leading to substantial budget escalations and unprecedented costs. Despite these obstacles, Cleopatra not only survived but flourished in theaters, emerging as a resounding financial triumph. The film's journey was fraught with difficulties, encompassing script revisions and setbacks during the production process. These obstacles resulted in the initial budget of $2 million skyrocketing to an astounding $44 million, breaking records as the most expensive movie ever made at that time. Notably, a significant portion of the budget, amounting to $200,000, was dedicated solely to the creation of Elizabeth Taylor's lavish costumes, which encapsulated the opulence and splendor associated with Cleopatra's reign. The exorbitant budget and troubled production posed a severe risk to the studio, pushing it to the brink of bankruptcy. However, Cleopatra defied all expectations, surpassing them with resounding success upon its release. It captivated audiences worldwide, quickly becoming a sensation at the box office and ultimately generating a substantial profit. The Mysterious End of Cleopatra. The way Cleopatra met her end has always been a puzzle that keeps historians on their toes. We know she and Antony kicked the bucket in 30 BC, but the specifics of Cleopatra's self-inflicted exit are still up in the air. The popular story goes that she got bitten by a sneaky asp, like a venomous viper or an Egyptian cobra, right on her arm. This version has been etched into our minds through art and literature, becoming the go-to explanation. But hold up, it's worth noting that old-school chroniclers like Plutarch themselves couldn't pin down the real deal. Now, while the asp bite is the top dog in theories, other ideas have sprouted over time. One wild thought is that Cleopatra was a sneaky poisoner, hiding a deadly dose in one of her fancy hair combs. It's mentioned in some historical accounts, you know. Then we've got the historian Strabo chiming in, suggesting that she might have used some gnarly ointment to do herself in. These alternative stories make you wonder if Cleopatra had a flair for the dramatic or if she was more into a low-key exit strategy. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Remember to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and share the video.